The Labrant family just listed their several $1 million Tennessee dream home for sale, and a lot of people think that it's directly related to Tennessee's new child labor law bill that just passed.
Hey, what's good, y'all? If you're watching this video, I'm willing to bet there's a pretty good chance that you've heard of the Labrant family. I mean, even I've heard of them, and I typically don't engage with family vlogging content because I've never really agreed with it, especially those who like really put their kids front and center, shove a camera up into their face, and then post them online for all the world to see, for millions upon millions upon millions of people to see. So I've never been able to really get behind that. It's never sat right with me. Now, I know there's probably some people in here who maybe used to watch this type of content, years ago before people really started questioning the ethics of it. And so there might even be some fans or previous fans or ex-fans of the Labrant family watching this video now. And then you're thinking to yourself, you know what? Yeah, you're right. I had a feeling, something was a little off about this. And, you kind of changed your mind on this whole family vlogging thing like a lot of us have, then that's great. Now, something interesting has happened lately. Now, basically, they live in Tennessee, and it seems like they have listed their home for sale roughly 3 days after Tennessee finalized a law that would prohibit children under the age of 14 from appearing in monetized content as like a central part of the content. Obviously, if a little kid, appears in the background of a video or something and they're not front and center and they're not like, being used as the content, then that's probably not an issue. What they're targeting is literally content like what the Labrant family does, where they literally have all their little young children face up in the camera, dancing around, singing, preparing to go to daycare or whatever the hell it is, to go to school, vlogging their lives, every second of it that's not, obscenely private or personal. But obviously you still get to points where they should have privacy. There should be things that are more personal to them that aren't allowed to be the case because they have a camera shoved in their face almost all the time. And that's one of the biggest criticisms that people have of this type of content. And we're here to really kind of dissect all of that and talk about, the whole thing in its entirety, as well as whether or not the Labrant family is moving because of this new Tennessee law, which unfortunately we can't prove that they are. And plus, Cole, the father here, has kind of denied that claim. Though I do think it's a little bit too coincidental that they have listed their home for sale just a couple days after that Tennessee law officially went through. I think it's no coincidence at all. But I just honestly believe that they don't want to admit that this is the reason, because then it looks really fucking bad. It looks really bad that they're willing to uproot just so that they can continue to go monetize their children. But if they don't, what are their options? Because this is their content. This is what they do. They monetize their children, and the law prohibits them from doing that. So it seems like a no-brainer that they're going to uproot, pack their bags, and go somewhere else, and then continue to do what they've been doing. Now, one other thing to mention about this law is that for minors over the age of 14, so between 14 and 17, they have to be compensated. So basically the family has to put together some sort of trust fund or something like that so that they can receive money for the content, for the work, because it's work that they're doing. This is literally work. Like, you're going to get like a 1099 or something like this for this type of content. So it is work. It's something you literally pay taxes on. So obviously you can't have unpaid labor. We have a very mean word for that called slave, And unfortunately, there's a good handful of family channels who definitely don't pay their kids like they should. So yeah, that's kind of what they've been doing. Anyway, but anyone in that age group has to be paid. And then for those who are above that age, so they're actually adults, they can actually request that any sort of footage of them that was posted online, without obviously them being able to fully consent to it because they're minors and children, they can request that that family removes that content, scrubs it clean from the internet, and they would have to do it or they can be taken to court and fined for it. Like, this is a big, big deal. This is a serious change in the law here, and it is going to affect families like the Labrant family seriously hard. And I can only imagine that there's probably going to be a good handful of other states who follow suit and do very similar things. I mean, it's rare that you find people on both sides of the aisle agreeing on something, but this is something that they all agreed on. So it is what it is now.
$1 million Tennessee dream home for sale. And a lot of people think that it's directly related to Tennessee's new child labor law bill that just passed. Cole and Savannah Labrant, known as the Labrant fam or the Labrant family on social media, are family influencers, Christian influencers, and now MLM peddlers that became famous by posting family vlogs and family content. Now, I have a lot of problems with these family vloggers or family content channels because I think being raised as a child influencer or child content creator is very similar to being raised as a child star or being raised in a cult. Lots of former child stars and former child influencers have advocated for stricter laws to protect children in these families. And California passed a law for child influencers very similar to Coogan laws, and this resulted in what a lot of people felt like some family channels leaving California, most often for Tennessee.
So yeah, child stars, that's a whole topic. I mean, probably a whole topic for a different video, but it's something we've got to touch on here because it's the same thing, right? And that is something that has drummed up a lot of controversy over the last couple of decades as well, because we've seen, you know, for the first time ever in the last few decades, the effects of being a child star. I mean, just to name a few child stars who absolutely had their lives turned upside down for the worse. I mean, there's Corey Feldman, there's Shia LaBeouf, there's Lindsay Lohan. I mean, most of them turned their life towards drugs and addiction and absolutely had, you know, some really terrible times trying to recover from them. Now, obviously, like Lindsay Lohan, for instance, is doing better nowadays. Shia LaBeouf, I wouldn't say he's doing better. I think he's still on his downward spiral. I mean, I think he found rock bottom and he's trying to figure out a way to get lower than that. And he might be successful, to be honest with you, because he's been doing all kinds of crazy shit. But we know what the effects are. We know what happens to many child stars, and it's a life that they don't get to choose, right? They don't get to choose to be a child star. Their parents throw them into it, and they basically make them work. Like, it literally is child labor. I mean, I've never been on the set of a movie or anything, but from what I've heard from, like, celebrities and stuff talking about it, like, that shit's exhausting. You're there for hours and hours and hours, and obviously there's child labor laws that protect the kiddos from being there for the same grueling hours, which is good, but at the end of the day, it is still work, and they are still being forced to work. Like, it is forced labor upon these children. It's a different type of labor, but irregardless, it's work. And what these kids are enduring in these family vlog channels and things like that, it's kind of the same thing. Now, obviously, they're mostly just living their lives, but they're living their lives in front of the camera that they have to talk to, that they have to engage with and interact with. And it's so invasive. Like, they don't get to just be children, which is why this whole thing has become extremely controversial. And the Labrant family is one of the biggest pioneers of this type of content, one of the biggest perpetrators of this type of injustice against young children. And we're going to have to look at a few examples of, you know, content they've made, just so, like, for those of you who have never seen it before, can at least get an idea of what kind of shit, you know, these kids deal with on a daily basis and continue to deal with, and probably will in the future, because they're going to go move to Florida or some shit. Where this law doesn't exist, so they can continue exploiting their children. Obviously, I'm going to blur the kids' faces, probably just honestly the entire scene to make my life a little bit easier. But that way you at least kind of get an idea, you can grasp the gravity of what kind of shit these kids are dealing with on a daily basis.
Look how excited he is for you to open it.
When we get you out? Yeah, you wanna come with me? I love you. And when you get little Sunday all changed. Look, that's you. Say hi, Sunday. Hi. I love these moments because I get a little bit of alone time in the morning with whoever wakes up first. And if you listen closely, you'll hear the light roar of all the... Mommy's awake. Good morning, Sleeping Beauty. You're welcome.
I probably got more sleep than you did last night.
And this is what happens whenever baby boy wakes up.
But Emily's usually over here.
You-
She's
Usually they're all fighting for the baby. What? You want to film? Hold on, baby.
We are changing Beckham Blue.
Hey, Posey, do you want to sing the Beckham Blue song for him?
We just wear.
Beckham, Beckham Blue, where are you? We got some work to do now. And the work is changing his diaper. There we go. Now I can. Okay, so today for breakfast, I'm making myself a yogurt with honey and these made good crispy like granola, and they have like chocolate chips in them. So these are really, really good. You need to get these. They're so good.
Does everything. So she seems like she's not in this as much as the little kids. It's because she's going into 6th grade, and that's what 6th graders do. So we'll just kind of probably see everything when she comes down. Huh?
We're in 6th grade.
Well, she's in kindergarten, so she has 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th grade. So 6 years.
Look at that, ready?
Legitimately, why is this a thing? Now, I want to clarify something I think is of the utmost importance. And I think there's a very vast difference between very clear, abundant vlogging lifestyle content with kids as the primary source of the content and lifestyle vlogs of somebody who happens to have children and they occasionally peek into the camera or something like that. I think those things are very, very different. Like if you are somebody who does do lifestyle content, you have kids, and the content's about you and your lifestyle and what you do and your, travels or whatever it is. And 95% of the time, it's just your faces on camera and your kids are basically never in it. Maybe they get caught in the background or something. I'm not talking about those types of people. I'm not talking about those types of creators. We're talking about those who literally shove cameras in their kids' faces and put them front and center, and they are the content. Because let's be real. In the Labrant family, Cole and Savannah, they're not the fucking content. They're props, effectively. They're the camera crew. The kids are the content. They are the centerpiece of this. They are the money makers. They are the reason that people watch. So yes, this is monetizing and effectively exploiting their own children for content. I mean, there's really no better way to put this, and a lot of people also see it that way. Now again, early on in the early stages of this, a lot of people probably didn't see that much of an issue with it, thought it was innocent. It wasn't until digital footprints and stuff like that started to actually matter, to actually mean something to the world. And people started to recognize and understand quickly, like, I mean, when you put this stuff on the internet, it's there. It's permanently there. There's gonna be your kids' faces, their privacy, it's gone. Everyone's going to know like who these kids are and they grow up, and they're going to have their lives affected by this drastically in some way, shape, or form, good or bad. You really don't know. But the problem is they're not allowed to make that decision. It's a decision that is forced upon them by their parents. And that is really the core problem with this type of content, and why states like Tennessee are making moves to stop the production of content like this. Now, obviously, the Labrant family, they can clearly dodge that bullet by going to a different state where they can continue to make this content legally, and then it's not an issue until eventually this sort of deal is kind of banned all across the country, which I think a lot of people would agree it's probably a good thing, that there should be more regulations on this type of content. Now, is it exactly what Tennessee did the correct thing? I don't know, but it's definitely more correct than having no law in place at all to prohibit this sort of shit. Now, there's a particular video I want you guys to see of a conversation the mother has with their oldest. And it's not so much the conversation that matters, it's the comment that I really want to talk about.
Everly and I have been listening to this girl who reads through the entire Bible but makes it sound like tea. Listen to this.
She's probably still a teenager, and she's engaged to a man named Joseph, who's a carpenter. Angel Gabriel shows up and is like, Mary, you're gonna be a mommy. And Mary's like, I'm a virgin. Then
So like I said, the video itself, really not that interesting. Honestly, don't really care for it. Seems like a cool Bible audiobook thing that they got going there, so good for them. Hope they enjoy it. This is what I want you guys to see. Where are you guys heading next? The comments did not disappoint. Let me scroll up. I'm a little bit down. Which state are y'all moving to next? My bet is Texas, Utah, Florida, or Idaho. Comments are frying me. God has called us to Texas. Where are y'all moving to now? Let your children just be kids. Y'all ain't waste no time in the comments. So I see your house is for sale. Why? Here before the moving to Texas video. How long until the comments are turned off? Moving again? Curious timing. Now, I'm sure you don't need me to explain to you why these comments are important to talk about. The writing's on the wall here. What the fuck? You know, like, this is exactly it. This is exactly what people are thinking. That they are moving to avoid the law, right? To avoid the law in Tennessee that prohibits them from literally making the exact content that they make on a daily basis. I mean, this is their livelihood. To be fair, they built their careers, they built their lives around this content, which, you know, that's a problem in and of itself. But now it's like, what do? Do they go and find a new way to make content? Do they stop posting their kids? Do they change up their vlogs entirely? Do they go get new careers? What do? Or do they just pack their bags and go to Florida where it's not a problem anymore and they don't have to think about it, don't have to worry about it, you know, out of sight, out of mind? It seems like for this family, the option's clear. The option's very clear. And they know exactly what they're planning to do. And I think when they do make the move, that chances are they're probably not going to even tell people where they move to, which might be difficult because they do lifestyle vlog content. It's like, hey guys, we're exploring this place, but we're not going to tell you what state it's in. No, that might be a little bit tricky. So maybe they'll be transparent about it, but I don't know. But the truth of the matter is, the chances are they're likely going to a different state, even though Cole denied that. He said, not happening. We're not going to a different state. But I think that was just to, you know, basically lie to people so that they don't think that they're jumping ship to avoid the Tennessee law. But we all know that's more than likely what's happening here. And the truth of the matter is, as an overall, you know, zoomed out look here about family vlogging content in general, this type of stuff that is very exploitative and constantly puts young children front and center, they are the content. This stuff has no place on the internet anymore. But that's just my 2 cents. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. See you all next time.